So Richard, this is our first look inside the V&A. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, it's always very intriguing how a slightly mysterious exterior is going to develop into what sort of interior, and obviously the concrete louvers turn into a sort of timber on the interior, which is rather unexpected, I think, in many ways, but quite interesting development. There's a journey into the building, and then the journey carries on up this very remarkable staircase, and that's where you want to go. I mean, there's a definite feeling I really want to go up there, and also the light is pulling up there as well.
What do you make of these little portholes looking out to the water?
Well, it's actually very intriguing. I suppose a lot of people might have been tempted to make a big panoramic view of the whole Tay and to have a cafe and you sit there and enjoy the view, but Kuma's done the opposite actually. He's really blocked all that off and just given you little moments, and I have a feeling as we go along here that we will get a rather nice view of Broughty Ferry and the oil rigs and what have you, and I like that.
So Richard, you talked a bit about the relationship between the inside and the outside. Now that we have been in, what are your impressions?
Well, we're standing in a moment here where the exterior louvers, the big concrete louvers, are sort of eroded quite deliberately, so you get to see the rail bridge. It has no scale on the outside. You can't tell how big it is. This curious elevation of louvers, which allegedly comes from a sort of rock face idea, but it's actually infinitely manipulable, which I think is very interesting, and it's sort of moulded in a way, and it breaks away, it erodes. And of course, one of the most interesting things about it is there's a route right through the middle, which is quite unexpected. Very, very rare in a public building do you get a route that goes right through the middle. Usually, when you do it, usually doesn't work actually, but on this occasion it definitely does work.
Well Richard, it's not a bad view for a living room. That's what Kengo Kuma hoped to create here in Dundee. How do you think people here will use the space?
It's a very sociable building. There's lots of space, there's cafes, restaurants, all that sort of thing. I see it as a much more contemplative building actually. I mean, where we're sitting at the moment, you know, we're contemplating the water in a wonderful way, in a sort of actually a rather Japanese kind of way actually. I think people will probably come here predominantly to see the changing exhibitions as opposed to just come here to hang out. Whereas at DCA, I'm sure there's a lot of people who go to DCA just to hang out, and if they have time, they'll go and see the exhibition. So I think it's going to be used in a different way, but I think the two buildings probably will be fantastically complementary actually. I hope so.